Hey, what is going on, comic book familia? Welcome to our first show, Comic Talk. I decided I wanted to do a new show, and this is episode 1, and of course, I thought of Peter right away to be on the show with me. So thanks so much for being on with me, Peter.
No problem at all, mate. Looking forward to this. That was a bit of a funky intro, mind. I like that. My little head was good stuff.
We both use this site called Canva.
Yeah.
And I really like this site. I have so much fun being on, using Canva. You can use it for thumbnails. This video basically came from them. And I've been going on YouTube a lot recently, and they have a lot of things that are new on Canva that I'm trying to catch up on. Like, oh my God, there's so much new stuff. And it's fun to me just being on there, creating different things, to show on YouTube and Instagram also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So this show is like Comic Talk, and Peter and I are basically, I asked him to get some topics that he wanted to talk about comic books, and so do I. But it can be comic books, it can be TV shows, movies, anything pop culture. And we're going to try to do this once a month, unless we get really popular with this show. I'm going to make Peter do it once a week, but we'll see.
I haven't got anything else on it. I've got loads of time,
Yeah, I got to ask Peter, are you available? Peter, are you available? Can you do it now? Huh? Do you have an hour?
Book us through me, agent.
Yeah. Right? So right now we have Fuzzy Dunlop. Thanks for showing up, Fuzzy. Hope everything's going well. Yeah, we're back, baby. Yeah, so far as you, me, and Peter, we're back. And his one was it hair looking slicker from. I had to pull my hair back because it's just getting so long, As soon as I pull it back because I don't want to have to deal with it.
Have you got a ponytail?
I got a ponytail. See, right here.
I wish I could get mine in a ponytail.
I'll tell you what, Peter, if I ever cut my hair, I'm gonna do it live on your channel.
Oh, right. Oh God.
Just to let you know, if you want to, because last week we had somebody, James, eat some chili, so we got a lot of views, 40 likes. So if I'm on your show, if I have my daughter with me, we'll see if we can cut my hair. If I ever get to that point,
Okay.
Yeah.
So. Chaos.
So this, I said that. So this is a statement. So he has proof on this video. You can go back on that saying I will cut my hair one of these days on Peter's channel if I ever cut my hair.
Okay.
And, we also have Spine Text. Hey, thanks for showing up. With Ginger Kong be making an appearance.
Absolutely. There's no show without Ginger Kong. Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, this segment is, this show is just gonna be me and Peter basically talking comic books, anything that comes up. And he came up with the first topic. Let me bring it up here. I can find it. Okay, this was a good one.
Which comic book characters we love or hate? Yeah, I think me and Efren have talked a lot, haven't we, about Five Legs for the Ponytail. Yeah, we've talked a lot about the fact that we've both been reading comics for a long time.
Yes.
Too long, probably. It's been years and years for both of us. And there's been a lot of characters and a lot of character changes. And I know, Efren, you've got a particular character that you've loved for a long time, but you're not overly happy with how he's being portrayed at the moment.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you want me to go first?
Yeah, absolutely, bud. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So
I'll keep an eye on the comments whilst you're talking.
Okay, thanks. So like I said, Peter came up with this particular topic and, which character we love, hate. And at the beginning, this is one of the first Silver Age characters that I really was drawn to. The whole group, it's the X-Men. And I really enjoyed the Beast because he was a smart person, but he never took himself too seriously. He was a happy-go-lucky guy. But as the years have evolved, he mutated into an actual furry-looking beast. But he was still jovial, and he was still, him and Wonder Man, when they used to do their Avengers team-ups together. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that team-up. But then, God, it's been over 15 years now, Peter, I believe, in Age of Apocalypse, when Dark Beast made its introduction. And this wasn't the Beast of the Marvel 616. This was a different universe. But they showed a beast that was just evil.
Yeah.
And dark. And he just had one mission just to, scientist. He was a scientist, obviously, and he just wanted to evolve people. And he would just basically mutilate people and just to get just to get what he wanted to towards his goals.
Yeah.
He was eventually defeated, but he would show up every now and then in the regular universe. But the beast was still himself, Hank McCoy, happy-go-lucky. But God, ever since Krakow, if I'm pronouncing it right, the island, he has really turned really sinister.
Yeah.
And
You see, I didn't mind because I'm a big fan of Age of Apocalypse, which is where we first got introduced to the Dark Beast.
yes,
And I quite liked the character in that alternate kind of universe. And I quite liked when we started to see him in the regular MCU, but as an additional character to Hank, as an additional kind of version, because I like my happy-go-lucky kind of Hank, you know.
Mhm.
But then more recently, like you say, in the Krakoa, the X-Men books are a mess at the moment, but
Yeah.
in the more recent stuff, they've lent really far into this kind of him being a bit of a sadistic kind of nutcase. I'm just not enjoying it at all, Efren. It's not my version of the Beast at all.
Now, I'm just like, what happened to him, man? I mean, he basically killed Wolverine and cloned him into he cloned Wolverine into multiple Wolverines just to be a killer,
Yeah.
just to kill people. But Wolverine always has that healing factor, and they're starting to overcome that train of thought. They're starting to say, that he put that into him, and he also cloned himself. And the mutants on the island know about that, but they're basically doing nothing except for Wolverine. So he's hunting him down. It's coming to a conclusion.
Yeah.
They're going to battle it out between the both of them. And I don't know how they're going to bring back the Hank McCoy that I loved, the happy-go-lucky Hank McCoy that would help out mutants, but in a good way. So that's my character that I love, hate,
Yeah. So mine is an older character, and I don't know where he's at these days. I don't know if he's been retconned again or whatever. But much like you, I like the kind of happy-go-lucky fun characters. And there used to be a great character who I was first introduced to in the New Warriors series called Speedball.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember Speedball.
I remember him.
He's got like a kinetic power, so he bounces all over, and he's got these little bubbles which kind of float around him. His cat has got the same kind of powers and things, and he was just a silly, fun character. And he joined the New Warriors when that series first kicked off years ago, back in the 90s, with Namorita and Night Thrasher and Justice and Nova was in it. And I loved that run. That was one of the runs that really got me kind of invested in comic books back in the day. So I really, really enjoyed it. And then we had Civil War. And I don't know if you remember.
I remember what happened.
Yeah. So the villain Nitro, I think he's called, a nuke, detonated when he was fighting the New Warriors, and that's what kicked off Civil War, because all the school children were killed and stuff. So they then took the character of Speedball and turned him into Penance.
Yes.
And he had this costume which basically cut him all the time, so he was constantly feeling pain to try and atone for his bad deeds, as it were. And I just think it ruined the character. I didn't mind the character of Penance as a character, standalone character, but having it be Speedball just made no sense at all to me. And I don't know where he is now. To be honest, I stopped reading because I stopped reading the Speedball character around that point because I just didn't like it at all. So I don't know if he's in comics at the moment. I don't know where he's at.
I haven't seen him recently in comics, but I know the character Penance. I was like, whoa, they did a 180 on this character. Whenever he used his powers, he would be cut.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, man. But I know he went back. He's not Penance anymore. Okay. But no, I haven't seen him for years now in comic books. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Even in terms of looking at comic books in the appropriateness of comics, that's basically a character where we're saying that, if he self-harms, he gets powers. That's a really weird story to put in comics for people to read. Do you know what I mean? I just found it very, very strange, and not something I particularly liked at the time.
I just feel sometimes they don't know what to do with characters. So they throw something, hopefully it will stick. But, like I said, that character was bizarre,
But we seem to have gone through a phase again back in the 90s where characters weren't allowed to be fun. Characters weren't allowed to have kind of a jovial nature. We needed dark and gritty Wolverine and Lobos. And so they take fun characters and turn them into these kind of, horrendous versions of themselves. Be interesting to see if anybody's watching there for who their love-hate character is, a character they used to love and that's turned to hate.
Anybody who's watching, if you have a love-hate relationship with a certain character, let us know,
A comic book character, not a YouTube character. I don't want my name.
Comic book character only, not YouTube character. Not one of us, Okay, you ready for the next topic?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is another one. Have your reading habits changed throughout the years? We do talk about this quite often when we do our monthly picks. And my reading habits have changed throughout the years. I'm a lot more into indie books because they're
Yeah.
just fresher and newer. That's what I like about them.
Mine have absolutely changed. So I went through a phase of, I'm like you, Efren. I've always been a comic book reader predominantly, but then I went through a phase where I stopped reading monthly comic books. And Sith's just saying there, I went through exactly the same. I stopped buying modern books. It was around the New 52 time period, I think. I just lost interest in them. And then when I came back to comics, watching some of I like that, Fuzzy. I was going to get that because I fancied a New Warriors setup. I thought if they did a Night Thrasher and a Justice and Nova and all the rest of them, I quite like the idea of having a Legends New Warriors setup. But yeah, so when I came back to comics, it was because of some of the channels that I watch on YouTube, like Nerd Herd and the Killer Comic Show and things like that. And they were reviewing kind of trade paperbacks. So I started reading trade paperbacks rather than single issues. And then I've kind of flipped back again now. So now I'm reading more regular issues each week digitally, I have to say. And I'm enjoying that again. But I'm certainly finding, like you, Efren, that I'm more drawn to some of the more adult books, the indie books and things like that. Although I would say Marvel of surprises. Me and you talked a lot about Marvel kind of dropping the ball a little bit, but actually some of their books at the moment have dragged us back in. Daredevil, for example, Punisher.
Yes.
So, there is some good stuff out there. I think you've just got to wade through quite a bit of rubbish to get it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Daredevil and Punisher, especially there's a new Punisher coming out, and who the character is. Stuff like that I still enjoy with Marvel, but I still read Marvel. I think it's more just out of tradition because I've been reading them for so many decades now. But I mean, that Hulk, that indestructible Hulk, was it the spaceship one? I was like, oh my God, what the hell is this? I stopped reading that,
Any X book, Efren. I mean, any X book you read is hard work. Even so, I do a show, a weekly show where I review comic books, and I'm doing that tomorrow, but looking at last week's books. And I've read 3 or 4 X books that I was really looking forward to, and each one of them is just trash. I mean, absolute trash. You can barely follow what's happening in them. And don't get us started on DC's Night Terrors. I've given up all hope with that. I don't even read it anymore. It's dreadful.
Spintex. I mean, GP said he's not looking forward to the new Punisher. I am. I just want to see what he does. I think bringing in a new character, see if he's related at all, to the old Punishers. And the writer was at San Diego Comic-Con for the new Punisher. And I had interviewed him before on my show, on my YouTube channel, and I just didn't go up and talk to him about the new Punisher. I was like, damn it, that was a perfect opportunity. But it hasn't come out yet. I'm curious to see what it's about.
I'll pick up the first issue or 2 and have a bit of a read of it. I absolutely loved that last series of Punisher. One of my favorite reads of the last few years. So it's going to take something to beat that. And I'm a bit with Sith there. I am an OG Punisher fan.
Yeah,
I don't like it when we're replaced with characters. Frank Castle is the Punisher.
Yes.
We don't need somebody else pretending to be the Punisher. But that said, I'll give the story a go and see what we
give it a chance. And may surprise us, hopefully. So let me see what's next here. Where am I under banners? Okay, this was your topic. When bad guys turn good, do we like it? I think it depends on the character.
No. It gets on me tits. Honestly, it does my head in. At the moment, Green Goblin, Norman Osborn is a good guy. And it's like, how way, man? And in the X-Men, it's a rotating thing. You have Juggernaut's a goodie most of the time. Sabretooth sometimes an X-Man. You've got Sandman on the Avengers, though some people will disagree with that. I like my Venom. Venom's a classic example, I suppose, although he's done quite well out of it. I like my bad guys to be bad guys. Do you know what I mean? And the current Spider-Man arc with Norman Osborn, hopefully coming to an end soon, it's doing my head in. I can't get over the fact it's Norman Osborn. Peter Parker shouldn't be playing pally with Norman Osborn in any version of events,
I just think some villains get beat down so much, and that life of villainy doesn't work for them. You mentioned the Sandman. I liked it when he
Yeah,
became a good guy. He was starting, he was hanging out with the Thing, and he
yeah,
joined the Avengers. But then I don't remember. I remember kind of what happened to him. I think somebody like just did something to his mind and messed him up to become a bad guy again. I went, dang it. I liked him as a good guy. That
and I
was
think
sad the way
that's
they did that. Because he had a child, I think, and
yeah,
he was trying to be a good person for his child, but then they
and
messed him up. Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's my problem with it. I think Sandman's a really good example of you could
Yeah.
argue he's not really a villain anyway. He's doing stuff for his kid and whatnot. And I don't mind if they make the change. What I do mind about is when it's the writers who have a quick go at it, and then the next writer says, "Oh no, we'll change that back." And then a few months later, he's another writer, and all right, we're back to being a good guy. And you get them kind of jumping backwards and forwards, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I like a good bad guy, and I think we've watered them down too much.
So yeah, I mean, I think Peter likes him the bad guy. I kind of like the redemption story a little bit, especially with Sandman. But it bummed me out when they made him evil again. But let's check out some of the comments here before we go to the next topic here. GP says, "Damn right, bro. Looks like Guy Gardner trying to be Punisher." So we'll see. I mean, the issue hasn't. The episode, the new series hasn't even come out yet. So we're going to give it a chance to see what's going on.
He's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., isn't he? He's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, that in itself might be quite interesting.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm sure in the synopsis it said that he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I mean, that's quite interesting in terms of if he's going to be kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D.'s hitman kind of thing or something. I don't know. It'll be.
Did they say it's a brand new character or somebody?
Yeah, no, it's a brand new character.
Okay.
Yeah,
we don't know anything about him yet, GP. Not
True.
too much.
True. We need to give it a chance, don't we?
Yeah.
Fuzzy's right. It's a retired agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Is it Dum Dugan?
Crikey, I hope not.
All right, let's go on to the next topic here. Let me bring it up here. The price of comics going up. When I first started collecting comic books, Peter, it was 20 cents. And I used to buy so many comic books every week, every month, only 20 cents, but now, I mean, they're going up to $3.99, $4.99 and up, we're not even talking about variants like 1 in 50, 1 in 100s that just go at higher price, or people who own their own stores have their own comic book, that costs at least $29.99 on up. That's the main reason I don't buy as many comic books anymore. Plus I'm getting older, and I don't, I just don't buy as many as I do. But I try to keep it between 5 and 10 comic books that I buy new per month now. I like reading still, but just buying them is just too expensive.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the problem is it's outpricing newer people coming into it, because it is a big expenditure to put out there, particularly kids. That's a lot of money for kids to fork out. In one go at the comic shop. If they want to collect, Spider-Man, there's like 15 Spider-Man titles or something like that. It really does hit the pocket. I know our friend Ben, the attention-seeking geek, said a while ago that he thought Marvel should have a bit of a reset, and I think that's a good idea. I think these companies of getting so big now in terms of the number of books they put out there, if they were to condense it and bring them down, it would give people at least a fighting chance of picking up all the favorite characters and whatnot. And I'm agreeing with JP, buying trade paperbacks. Yeah. That's how I tend to read, or I read digitally these days, and I go back and buy first issues of books I've really enjoyed. So, for example, I read a book that I know Fuzzy's read called Cull. Reminders, Fuzzy, is that Image? I think it's Image. So I read that digitally, absolutely loved it. So I've jumped straight on and bought a number of copies of the first issue, different variants and things like that. And I did the same with Something Epic. I've bought a number of issues of that just because the artwork's stunning.
Yeah, it's just, I just wish, and I'm not just picking on Marvel, but they have, there's just so many X books. Maybe we should just have between 2 and 3 and leave it at that. Yeah. But there's so many, like I said, but I do like reading them, but there's just too many of them. And it just, to me, it just dilutes the storyline when there's so many,
Well, it makes it really hard. If you're like me, and thanks very much, Fuzzy. If you're like me and you want to read the complete story, it means you've got to pick up like 6 or 7 books. And that's just in terms of cost, like you've just said, Efren, that's just ridiculous. And also, much like yourself, you know, I'm getting on. So reading, sorry, I was quite insulting. Much like yourself, I'm saying you're very old. So reading that volume of books each week is, I haven't got time to do it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
Yeah, we're so busy with our YouTube channels now. You know, it takes up so much of our time. Like I try
Absolutely.
to read
Absolutely.
at least an hour a night, you know, before I go to bed, you know, pick up a book, read a couple of books, try to catch up on my storylines. But I'm always like about 3 or 4 months behind on my reading. I'm trying to catch up now, you know. I was reading a book right before we went on, you know. So
yeah, well, I mean, I started, as you know, a show called This Week's Comics. And my intention was to do a show on, say, a Saturday with the comics that have been released that week and talk about them. And I've just very quickly realized that there's just no hope in hell of us doing that because I cannot read the volume of comics in time.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know what you're like, Efren, but I've got an entire bookcase now, 4 or 5 shelf bookcase full of graphic novels and books that I've picked up. That some of them have been there 2-3 years. That I just I can't physically get time to sit and read. You know.
We should do a reading section where we just come on, read our books, and
just sit and read. Yeah.
See how many people show up. Let's catch up with some of the comments here. Yes, Spinetics, too much politics in these latest comic books. Don't want to pay for a lecture. Been going back and getting stuff that I missed, like early 2000s horror from Avatar Press. Nice.
Yeah, some of those early 2000 books are great. The Avatar Press was actually a great publisher. Put some great stuff out. All I would say, Spinetics, Sith, is don't go back too far. I made the mistake of going back to reread some of the classics, and some of those early runs of books don't stand up to time. They're just not as good. We reread Avengers versus JLA last week, didn't we, Efren, on GP's channel? And it didn't fare very well, bless it.
No, I mean, I was really excited when that book was chosen to be read. I went, all right, a classic. But yeah, well, we talked all about it on GP's channel. We won't say much more about it.
Yeah.
So looks like Fuzzy Dunlop has an interesting topic here. I've never bought a trade paperback in my life. Gosh, I like the feeling of reading a comic book, but I know I'm missing slots still. Yeah, very true. Yeah. I understand that point about reading individual books. I'm still into that a lot myself. You
see, I have that, Fuzzy, with particularly my hardbacks and my absolute editions. I don't know. There's something sensual about sitting reading a book, you know, and smelling the pages, and you know, I love that.
Yeah. Now, smelling the pages, the old books, just that unique smell of 60s and 70s books. That's never going to be me.
Musty kind of paper smell. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
So let's get on to the next topic here. Let's see. Well, we talked a little about the X-Men book, so we won't get into that.
Yeah.
This is kind of piggyback to a previous topic that we just talked about. Are there too many comic books being published each week? I think so. There's so damn many, but I like reading them. So it's kind of, I don't know, you know.
I just think there's just such a massive volume. The problem with it is, so as an example, there's that many books on the shelf. It's easy to miss stuff. That's why I enjoy the show we do together, Efren, where we look at advanced orders.
Yep.
So to try and spot the stuff, because when I'm browsing the shelves, I do miss comics. So, for example, I've been looking through some of the digital comics, and I absolutely missed a stunning series that is now 2 issues in, and I completely missed the fact that it has gone 2 issues, and it's called Ribbon Queen by AWA. The cover just jumped out for issue 2, and I thought, why have I missed it? I've never even heard of that bloody book, you know. And it's because it's lost in the sea of X titles or Spider-Man books or whatever. I think some of these smaller publishers, you can easily miss the books that they're putting out, and most of it is superb. You know, I'm going to talk tomorrow night about this Ribbon Queen. It's absolutely superb.
Yeah, I mean, you do miss books when there's so many out there. I just recently started reading, and I told you it was my read of the week is Hunt, Kill, Repeat. It was about if gods like Zeus came to Earth right now because they were fed up with the way humankind was, and they basically take over Earth. They get rid of all technology, And this book is almost at 6 months old. I went, dang, and I just read it. I go, this is a good storyline, and I completely missed it. You know?
So you put that video out, Efren,
Yeah.
and I thought, I've never even heard of that. I don't even know what book he's talking about. So I need to go back and have a read of that one because it looked interesting.
I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's still ongoing, you know. So
Yeah.
let's look at some of the comments before we go to the next one. Let me see if I can keep up here. Did we show this one already?
Filth, absolute filth.
Yeah, that's a good one, Spine Ticks. What else he has to say? Oh God, he says you should see me after a bean burrito.
But he's
Hey,
lifted.
and we got Hoodrat. My nephew's on there. Hey, Hoodrat, thanks for joining us. This is going to be a new show. It's going to be on a monthly basis where we just pick topics that we want to talk about. You know, and so far so good, I think. Let me see here. We'll get one more. Okay, read the first issue, Ribbon Queen. Really good. Now, see, I got to read that book. You know.
Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you, Efren. It starts off very much as a kind of a cop kind of crime book and quickly takes an unexpected turn. Very graphic. It's very graphic, but I absolutely loved it. Fuzzy's got a good point there, Efren. I don't know if you want to highlight that. But there are too many books, or too many variants. Books like Something That's Killed the Children and Stray Dogs change the game. Absolutely agree, mate. Absolutely agree. That's a good topic, Fuzzy, because and I know, Fuzzy, that you are a guy who picks up a lot of these variant covers as well, like myself. And I try not to. I mean, me and Efren, we talked about this a while ago and said we weren't going to do it anymore. And then something epic came along, and I think I've got 5 copies of issue 1 or something like that. It's like, why do I need 5 copies of the same bloody comic?
Yeah,
you know?
It's like we're almost programmed to buy them because Fuzzy came up with when Stray Dogs came out, when they did all those homage covers. I go, damn it, I want every single one.
Efren, I got 3 sets. I've got 3 sets of Stray Dogs horror homages, and I don't know why.
Yeah, they were just so cool. And next thing I know, I was just clicking on buy. Just they were pretty cool, man. Yeah. We got here.
But I think you're right, Fuzzy. I remember there was a book recently. What was it? Darkwing Duck. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think on the back of it, when you're reading it digitally, it had an image of all of the different variants, and there was something like 50 variants for Darkwing Duck #1. It's like, why? Why do you need that many? But yeah, crackers.
I think we're just so caught up on the artwork when we see it. You know, we're longtime comic book, readers and buyers. When we look at the artwork, I was like, oh my God, I want it. Mm-hmm. Disney just came out with the villains. And they came out with the Evil Queen. I was like, oh my God, they are so cool. I was about to buy like 5 of them.
Yeah.
I was like, I stopped myself. I go, dude, stop. So, but let's get on to the next topic. This is the one we're always gonna talk about this one. Do you think superhero movies have reached its peak?
Do you know what? Oh, Efren, I've got a video coming out next week, I think, called "More About the MCU," where I'm talking pretty much about the state of the Marvel universe. Drop us a line, Fuzzy. You can have a set, mate. I'll send you a set. I've got to the stage where I'm longing for films like The Blue Beetle, where it's not interconnected to 15 other films, and I don't need to know 10 years worth of movie backstory to know what's happening. So I really, really enjoyed Blue Beetle because it was a standalone movie and because it was something fresh. Well, I'm saying fresh, it's very by the numbers, but it was different. Do you know what I mean? And the other thing with I think with the Marvel universe in particular is it's struggling to show anything new. And the quality, I think, has dipped a little bit, dare I say. I'm a massive Thor fan, but Love and Thunder for me was absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I think we've just become too big, too encompassing. But do I think superhero movies have hit the peak? I think we probably did with Endgame in terms of that interconnected universe.
Yeah. I mean, when the first Iron Man came out, which God's been over 10 years now, hard to believe. I was like, everybody was just so enthralled with that movie because I was, wow, they finally did it right. They finally
Yeah.
gave it comic book. Well, they've done other movies before in the past, but Marvel not much. You know, they did Blade. Basically, that was their
Yeah,
biggest
I
hit. You
loved
know,
Blade.
but
Yeah.
Blade was a great movie. But when Iron Man came out, I was like, oh my god, you know, what's gonna come next? You know, Captain America, Thor. You know, it was just building and building. You know, they brought in the
Yeah.
other Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, which was like the third string characters. They made them so freaking popular.
Yeah.
It was just reaching its peak. And Endgame, after Endgame, I'm sorry, but they're not going to be able to top that at all. There's no way. You know.
But I guess, you know, without being too negative, do I think it hit its peak in terms of my level of enjoyment? Probably at Endgame, I think.
Yeah.
But I would still go and see comic book movies.
Oh
Now.
yes.
I still enjoy comic book movies. I think I've probably become a bit complacent with them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll still go watch them. Do you know what I mean? They're still good films. They might not be as good as the high,
Yeah.
but still good films. I mean, you mentioned Guardians there. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was great. Really enjoyed that, you know?
Yep.
Like I say, Blue Beetle, I thought was really, really good in terms of just pure entertainment. I think for me, they don't need to be attached to everything. I think Fuzzy's right. Just got bored.
Yes. Good point, Fuzzy. Yeah.
And Fuzzy, you're almost emulating what I say in my video, which is, have I just become a little bit kind of jaded and bored with them myself? Is it me that's getting, is it me that's reached my peak rather than the movies? Do you know what I mean? Have I? Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment.
I mean, even my daughter, she really likes the Marvel movies. Even she told me they don't bring the same excitement, and she's not like a hardcore comic book fans like we are. She admitted it, you know.
I mean, I guess you've got to imagine, you know, when did Iron Man come out? Is it
over 10 years ago? It's been over 10 years. Yeah.
We've had them going for a long time, you know, and there's normally 3 a year, say, from different companies, plus all the Disney Plus stuff. It's almost oversaturation. It's a bit like what we're talking about with comic books there, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's almost too much of it coming through.
Now, are you interested in going to go see the Marvels movie that's coming up? I think that's the last movie of the year for Marvel, you know.
So it's a Marvel movie, so yes, I'll always go and see any Marvel movie. Does it particularly excite us? Cheers for the year 2008. Wow,
yeah.
2008.
Wow.
Does it particularly excite us? I'm not sure. I absolutely adored Miss Marvel.
Yes.
And I enjoyed Captain Marvel, you know, but I don't know. It's not got us massively excited, but I will see it.
I think things are going to ramp up a little bit once they finally, the Deadpool movie, because it's going to have Wolverine in it. I think everybody's going to be looking to that. And then that should segue to the Mutants, to the X-Men movie. And yeah, I mean, we'll see after that. And after that, Fantastic Four, you know, we'll see if, you know, people will still, that will excite me when the Fantastic Four comes out. Hopefully, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for that one, man.
Fuzzy's making a comment there, and I just want to come in on that. We might be bored, but ask. Oops.
We're both handling it, so we both knocked each other.
But ask a 10-year-old kid, and they'll still tell you they're amazing. You're most probably right, Fuzzy. But what I would say is my barometer normally, because I know, unlike some, I know that I'm a nerd. So I know that I see things through rose-tinted glasses. So, for example, I know that I'll probably be more positive about certain movies just purely because of the history and stuff attached to them. So I use my family as my barometer for movies. Drag them along to stuff, and I basically at the end of each movie ask my wife, my daughter, and my son, what did you think of that? And I get their take on it. So it's like a normal person's take, as it were. My son Thomas loved the Teen Titans cartoon, but he refused to come to the cinema to see the Blue Beetle movie because he said it looked like rubbish. He said the trailer turned him totally off, which I thought was really strange.
Yeah.
So I don't know if kids are starting to get a little bit bored with some of it as well. But yeah, I mean, when I came back, I told him it was a great movie, but he just wouldn't engage with it, which was interesting.
Well, either way, if it's, you know, we're getting somewhat bored with them, they're still coming. I mean, you know, so hope, you know,
and
doing well. And I'll be there, you know, going to go see them.
Yeah.
Just catch up with the comments here. GP comes up. I think everyone expected after Endgame, everything had to connect to the next big thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's a good one. And we have Hood right here. The Marvel series on Disney Plus oversaturated. Yeah, but I still like them. So they're bringing Loki's coming back pretty soon too. See how that's season 2.
I think, my personal opinion, I know Fuzzy in the comments will say that She-Hulk's the best thing Disney Plus have ever done. My personal preference is to get away from series. You've got an entire Marvel universe there. Give us more one-offs like Werewolf by Night. One episode, standalone story, which is easily accessible to be watched as kind of like a short movie rather than a 8-issue mini-series or whatever. And then if that character hits, if that gets good praise, then you can look at developing a series or introducing them into a movie or something.
Yeah.
Because Werewolf by Night's the best thing I think Marvel put out for a long time.
Yeah. See, I'm glad that, after the popularity of Werewolf by Night, that they didn't just jump to another quick series right after that. They're taking their time, which I think sometimes builds anticipation, which is, to me, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic. Event crossovers. Are they damaging the stories? Do you want to, and you wrote the first part of it. Events crossovers, are they damaging the stories? And I almost had the same topic. And they says, do you want to see another Marvel DC crossover? I used to really love the event crossovers, over like 10 years ago. The Marvel used to get together like in the summertime and think of the next big event. Like when Civil War came out, I was enthralled by Civil War. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Or when the Skrulls, we didn't know who was who. Those kind of events, I think it all depends on the event. If it catches your attention, if it grabs you in, yes. But other ones, so I'm kind of 50-50 on this.
Yeah. I'm probably the same, Efren. Again, it might be rose-tinted glasses from back in the day when I used to really enjoy them. I just think they've become kind of almost an expected thing. So, there's an event every couple of months, pretty much.
Yeah.
They don't really have any impact on much going out of them. What really bugs us about them is this insistence the big companies seem to have that an event has to cross over into every single other book.
Yeah.
So your ongoing story is almost hijacked by whatever the event may be. And quite often it doesn't work. So, at the moment, I don't know if you've picked up any of it. I've been reading DC Night Terrors. And if that had just been put out as the kind of the standalone miniseries, it would have probably been an okay read.
Mm-hmm.
But because there's 6 or 7 books every week and they've stopped. So, for example, Nightwing, they've stopped putting out the Nightwing comics. So that story has effectively halted for 3 months or whatever, whilst they put out this Nightwing Night Terrors or whatever. But I'd say 80% of them are utter rubbish. They don't work as a story. They don't connect with anything. And it's getting to the point now where I'm not even reading it. I'm moving on from it.
I'm sorry. I haven't read Night Terrors yet. But I've been hearing your critique about the tie-ins. So if I just read the main book, will it complete the whole? Do I have to read some of the other books, or just kind of read the main book and be done with it?
I would just read the main book, Efren, and see if you like the kind of the style of it. The tie-ins are all basically individual heroes' nightmares. Some of them are okay. The Joker one was quite good fun. But the rest of them are just very poor.
Oh, that's too bad. I was really looking forward to reading it. I haven't read it yet, but I've been hearing you talk about it. I was like, should I read the other books now or just keep with the main series?
Well, I mean, the truth is, Efren, if you wanted to read the full series, it's going to be like 60 issues or something like that, which is absolutely pointless.
That's crazy.
Absolutely pointless.
Yeah. Let's see what people are saying in the comments section here. This is from our previous topic. It says, the Marvels will be the shortest MCU film yet. That worries me if the story isn't that strong or it's all been cut and edited out. I hope it's over an hour and a half, I think
is it an hour 40? Fuzzy, I remember reading or something.
All?
I think so.
Oh my God. They have to do at least 2 hours. An hour 40 is nothing.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I agree.
He's talking about Night Terrors and he's absolutely wrong.
Oh, okay. And we have Who Dad. Hey, thanks for showing up, Who Dad. I really appreciate it. We're just doing a monthly show now that I asked Peter to come on with me. And basically it's just comic talk. We're going to be talking about comic books, movies, TV shows, whatever fits our fancy, Everybody knows who that. So Fuzzy says it's an hour and 47 minutes long, and that's not long enough. I'm sorry, it's not long enough. You know?
Particularly when you've got 3 main characters to cram in there.
Yeah,
and give them enough screen time each. You know,
and
I'm hoping they lean very much into the family side of things, because I did like Miss Marvel. I enjoyed that family element. So hopefully they'll lean into that. Yeah, GP, first issue of Shazam was very, very good for Night Terrors. Second issue was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. So yeah.
Says who that is looking forward to the Marvels. So am I. I do like these characters, and I like Ms. Marvel, you know, her Disney Plus show. So hopefully they show her a little bit more, you know. All right, let's go on to, we got only a couple more topics left here. This one is a good one. I forgot. I don't know.
Well, sorry, Efren. Sorry. You mentioned there about the event crossovers. I didn't answer you.
Oh, yeah.
Do I want to see a Marvel DC?
Oh, yeah, the Marvel DC, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I'm a sucker for Marvel versus DC books. I loved the amalgam universe.
Yeah.
I loved seeing, you know, characters like Superman fighting Hulk, that kind of stuff. For me, they're kind of fanboy dreams. So yeah, I'd absolutely love to see another crossover event.
Hey, thanks for showing up. Now we're bound. Yeah, you know what? I want to see another Marvel DC crossover event too. Hopefully, if they just keep it to one comic book, but make it more than 4 issues long, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And a little bit, maybe connect a couple of series too, but not too much. Don't overwhelm us with it, but stretch it out to at least 6 issues. So we have more character connection and not just a lot of words, trying to cram everything into it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope so too. Let me see what we got here from Who Dat. Good thing about the 3 main characters, we do not need a backstory on them. Yep, we can jump right in. That's a good point.
That is a good point, but that relies, doesn't it, on the audience having watched Miss Marvel on Disney Plus in WandaVision to know who Spectrum is and all that kind of stuff. That's the problem with interconnecting universes, isn't it? It gets, but I guess people going in to see that movie, you would hope, have watched all those things.
Yeah. So this is a good topic. I don't know why, but I think you thought this up, Peter. Why do we grade comics?
Yeah.
I did not know anything about grading comics, but my cousin one year, this is a long time ago, over 10 years ago, he gave me a CGC comic book. And I was like, what is this? I'd never even heard about getting books graded. And you know how many books I got graded now. I have over 200 books graded easily, I think. And I just like them. You're hooked. Sometimes you're hooked on getting your books graded, but you want to preserve the grade. And if you ever do sell the books, you know it's a preserved grade, and you know if it's, it hasn't been doctored a lot. Yeah. If people are who are into selling books more than I am, that's one of the main reasons why they grade comic books, but they get more bang for their bucks if they sell the books, depending on the book.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, I mentioned this one because there's a lot of negativity sometimes in the comic community about people who grade books. They call them plastic coffins and things, and you shouldn't be great. Each to their own. Everybody does their own thing. Yeah. For me, it's one to preserve, because some of the books that both me and you collect, Efren, are a lot of money, and the thought of them getting torn or ripped or something like that, terrifies us because you've lost thousands of dollars. So there's that element to it.
Yeah.
There's also the element, even if it's not an expensive comic, of just preserving the artwork for me as well. You look at famous paintings and things like that. You want to preserve it. You want it to look nice for as long as you can. So that's kind of why I go into the whole grading thing. And you're absolutely right. There's no doubt at all that I think if you're going to sell comics, you get a better price with them being graded. And from my personal point of view, because I am absolutely inherently lazy, I can't be chewed with taking photos of comics and then getting into a discussion with people about, has it got a spine tick here? Can you show us page 13, paragraph 2? Is that marked? I can't be bothered with that. It's easier to just say it's a 9.8 or it's a 9.6. There you go. Conversation done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even though I've sold a book one time, I was trying to sell a book and somebody asked if there was a scratch on the case. I go, no. Yeah. And I go, no, it's just a reflection of the camera, but I told them, no, not. But if it's like an older book, some of my older books that I have, hell yeah, I'm going to grade them, I mean, I'm still searching for some of my grails, and like the first Thor and Iron Man and Hulk. If I ever get those books that are not graded, hell yeah, I'm going to grade them. Because I want to preserve them. I don't want to sit them down on the table and then put my cup on top of it. Like a ring of on the cup.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean CGC. But one thing that turns me off from grading comic books is just, I'm not just picking on CGC, but everybody always wants their book CGC because they bring more bang for the buck. But at the same time, they just make so many mistakes. Yeah. And they have no accountability. It seems like people keep on going back to them. I just think they just have to. They just have to do a better job.
What's frustrating me at the moment, everyone? I sent. I think you might have seen my videos. I sent off 20 books to be graded. So I waited a couple of months for them to come back to us. Came back to the UK CGC office. When they came back, one of them had a mechanical error. So the London office sent it back to CGC. Mm-hmm. I've now been waiting over 2 months for them to even look at it again and regrade it. Now, this was their error. They ballsed it up. They smashed it or whatever they've done to it. Wouldn't you think they would kind of try and think, oh, we've made a mistake. We'll speed the process up and get it straight back to them. Yeah. It feels like it's gone onto the back burner at CGC for some reason, despite his messaging a couple of times. I think that's pretty crap customer service. They don't seem to care once they've got your money,
They don't really have competition per se. I mean, some people use CBCS, but, still 90, to me, it's like 80-90% of the, population who collect comic books use CGC. They'd rather use it. I mean, I went to a convention one time and I had some CBCS books to see if I could, make a trade with a vendor. He said, no, I don't even touch those books.
Yeah.
Went, damn, man. He goes, I don't even look at them, and I told the story before that I got my books from CGC. They came in fine and dandy, but another box came with them, like about 20 books that weren't even mine.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, and honestly, I really thought about it. If they were like high priced Silver Age books, I might have thought about not even calling them back.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the comments here. We had GP, I don't, and my bank account is better for it. Yeah, get a lot of money. Let me see what Who Dad has to say. I do grade, and my bank balance is better for it in a positive way. So there you go.
So interestingly, just an absolutely shameless plug, Efren. On my channel tomorrow, I'm putting out a video. Those books that I've just gotten back from CGC, I've done a costing of them. So I've done a video with a spreadsheet of how much I've paid for the book, how much I've paid to slab it, to press it, what the current value is, and whether I've made a profit or a loss.
Yeah.
So at the end, I'll talk about whether I've made a profit or a loss on the total kind of shipment if I was to sell them. It's quite interesting.
You mentioned earlier that you're still waiting for some books that they messed up on. It's been over 2 months. I dropped off my comic books at Comic-Con, which was like July 24th, and they're going to arrive today. So I'm not sure how they choose which books to grade first, but they shouldn't have taken that long for you, especially when they made a mistake.
Yeah.
So your Spintex has to say, yeah. I bought the very first Vision once and it came back as restored. I didn't pay a lot for it, but I was like, damn it. That's very true. Yeah.
My story, Efren, of I bought a Journey into Mystery 83 first appearance of Thor and Raw, and it came back as conserved.
Oof.
So staples had been cleaned or replaced. So I was devastated, but I've kept it because it's first appearance of Thor.
Let's see some more comments here. But as I've gotten older, it's getting harder to sell, no lie.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, congrats. So don't. It's like, oh my God, I stopped using CGC for about 2 years and I went to CBCS and now I'm back to CGC, but to each his own, EGS slabs look really nice with the labels. You can create your own labels, on EGS, so
I've not looked into EGS. I mean, it makes us nervous. They're a fairly new company, aren't they? I don't think I've had much to do with them.
No, they've been around at least 2 or 3 years. We interviewed them. I think it was on Ian Hoodrat's channel, I believe, the owner of EGS. And they've been around, and I know a few people who do use them. But if you do EGS, I think it's just books that you want to keep. They're not for resale.
Okay.
You want to pay the exorbitant prices of CGC.
Yeah. They were all turtle books as well, Fuzzy, first appearances.
You know, Fuzzy, I was like, damn it. I was flipping through them and they weren't like any high priced books. But I called CGC and I told them, and they said, you know, we're so sorry, blah, 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 blah. I go, hey, do I get anything since I'm being honest? You know, like a couple of free slabs? They said, no. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Spine ticks. He's talking about EGS. Yep.
Yeah, and I'll have to go back and watch that video, mate, because I honestly don't know anything about EGS, really. Not something I've really come across.
All right, I think we have about one or two more topics. You wrote this, Peter. I think you misprinted when you wrote this, but we'll do this one first. You can tell me what this means exactly. What is a real?
All right. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what the diary comment is. No, it's just the age old argument, isn't it? About who is the creator of a book? Is it the person that writes the story or the person that draws the story? And this comes back to the whole Stan Lee kind of debacle back in the day. And, you know, you get very strong views on either side of it. Stan obviously very famously felt that if he'd made the character up in his head and created it in his head, he was the original creator, whereas some of the artists he worked with felt that because they had fleshed out the story and designed the character, that they were at the very least a co-creator. And it kind of got quite muddy back in the day. So I guess I was just interested in your view, Efren. Who do you think is the creator behind?
I think the creator is the person who thought of the idea. Hey, Peter, I'm coming up with this great new character. You know, here's his name, you know, Staple Man, and here's his powers. You know, he can just pop staples out of his wrist and, you know, pin people against the wall. Yeah. What do you think, Ephraim? You know, I'm going to draw this and, you know, but then I think they do that as co-creator.
Yeah.
Just to make it peaceful between the two people. But I think the person who thought of the idea is the actual creator. But then if you help me bring it into life, then that's such a tough subject. So
it is, and
I would say you're my co-creator. You know, you help me visualize this.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I agree, Efren. I think for me, it's a co-creation, but I think there is no creation without the original idea.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So without that original thought and spelling out of what the character is, then I don't think there is a character. I absolutely think going back into Marvel history and all the rest of it, there should have been a lot more co-creator credit being given to certain people. But I don't know. I find it a really interesting debate, and obviously people who are very pro art and artists think that it's a much more creative process, I think. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one.
But you know, if I had to choose one, as the person who thought of the idea. And you know, you can say created by Passpoint Comics, but with a lot of freaking help from Triple G Comics.
I mean, copywriting Staple Man right here, right now. That you heard it here first. That's surefire hot seller. That.
Going back to our previous topic, you know, Fuzzy never heard of EGS. As far as I know, they don't promote a lot. You know.
I don't know if it's I don't know if Spinetix is still in. If it's still in, I don't know if it's a US only company. I've not heard of it mentioned anything over here in the UK, to be honest. I'm not, you know how, so we have kind of like CBCS facilitators and things like that, but I've never heard of any EGS facilitators.
Okay, so we're going to end up our last topic, and I was debating whether or not to put this one on here because we only got like about 5 minutes left. I told myself, and I told Peter, this show is just going to be an hour long. You know, I don't want to do more than an hour. So pros and cons about your YouTube experience. My pro is meeting people like you. You know, meeting you, which has been over a year now, has rejuvenated me and made me want to do better on my YouTube channel. Because I look at you and I'm like, damn it, Peter's doing a lot of good content. And then we started going on live a lot. I'm going, oh man, maybe I should start going on live too. So I do look at other people's videos, you know, and if I see something that I like, I try to copy them. But, you know, but to me, the cons is a little bit behind the work when we have to do a lot of editing or, you know, pre-production. That's when we did this show. I said, Peter, we're just going to talk. I'm like, put too much pictures up, if any. So that's a big con for me. Sometimes it takes more to get it ready. It takes
Yeah.
hours sometimes for me to get stuff ready for an actual show, which only lasts for a couple of hours, if that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, absolutely, Efren, the pros have been meeting some great people like yourself,
Yes.
in the crowd that we hang around with. Also, the people that we don't share a screen with. I mean, you know, we've got JP, Fuzzy, Sith, all those people who I've known now for a good while on YouTube and have supported, and I think that means a lot. I'm absolutely with Sith here. I try very hard not to worry about the algorithm and the subs and all that kind of jazz, and I try to just have fun and have a good time. And that's when I'm at my happiest, when I'm doing like this show, just chatting nerdy stuff. You know, that's when I'm at my happiest. The cons, it can be quite time consuming.
Yes.
And how can I put this? Sometimes the interactions and stuff can be quite upsetting at times, I guess. Sometimes if you get negativity on comments, or if you get, you know, that kind of stuff, that can be quite disappointing, because we all just want to have fun. Do you know what I mean? We all just want to have a bit of fun with it. But I've enjoyed my YouTube experience so far.
Yeah. So Spinetix is on right now. I'm showing his comment on Saturdays at 8 p.m. my time, Pacific time. You have a good show to watch, Spinetix. I've been starting to watch it for about 2 or 3 months on his show now, and I was on it about 2 weeks ago, and it was different from my usual videos that I do, so I really enjoyed it. My biggest worry, though, that sometimes it goes like for over 2+ hours, 3 hours. I told him, if I start falling asleep, you guys can yell at me.
I mean,
but he was
Spinetix,
every Saturday. Yes.
When he first started, I think they were doing like 8-hour streams and things. I've never had the I've never had the pleasure of jumping on Spinetix, because it's on at like, I think it's 3 a.m. over here or something like that.
Time,
but 4 a.m. GPC. Ye gods, 4 a.m. But yeah, I do watch it on the repeat. And sometimes if I get up early on a Sunday morning, it's still playing.
8 hours, man. They were telling me that it was 8 hours. I went, oh my God. He would tell me that some people would be like asleep on the screen, you know, have to wake each other up, man. So we've got a couple more comments here, and then we are done. Here.
Good stuff.
Yeah, Peter, I'm going to wake you up one time. Like, I'm going to call you next time I see it. Hey, Peter, wake up.
But that is the challenge, I suppose, of the, you know, I think the comic community is quite a small one when you look at kind of YouTube channels and things like that. And it is a shame that the time difference is so vast between them, because I would love to do some of the American shows, and I know, you know, I've had people say they want to do some of our shows and stuff, but the time is so different. It is a challenge.
Yeah. I think Comic Book Crackhead, first of all, thanks for showing up. But he says Spinetix format is different and refreshing. Yeah, it was different and refreshing. That's, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to go on there. You know, and he asked me, and I told him thanks. I wanted to ask him, can I come on your show? But it's his show. I didn't feel like overstepping my bounds. You know, so.
Very cool.
We are done, folks. We did this under an hour. We got 2 minutes to spare here. So.
Efren, that's been great fun. I've enjoyed just talking comics without slides and all that kind of jazz that I normally throw up on the screen. It's been nice to just talk geeky, nerdy topics. It's been great fun.
So like I said, this is called Comic Talk. This is our first episode. We, you know, plan to be back next month. And even though it's just this Comic Talk, we're going to, you know, we obviously talked about movies. We're going to talk about TV shows, anything that brings up.
We didn't even talk about Ahsoka, Efren. We didn't talk about this week's Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like I said, you know, we're just going to bring it up. Maybe, well, by the time we bring it up next month, it'll be over with. So maybe, I think so. So we got one more comment here. Thanks a lot, Spinetix, you know, and everybody watch Spinetix this Saturday at 8 p.m. You know, I'm going to a comic convention, Long Beach Comic Con, but I should be back by then. But yeah, hopefully I can stay up for the 2+ hours, you know, so I'm going to be nodding off back and then. But we are done, folks. We did this under an hour, which I told Peter it's going to be under an hour. It's 12:59 right here. So, but until next time, everybody, Peter's going to be on tomorrow on his channel at 12 o'clock our time, I believe, right? At 8 o'clock your time.
Yeah, 8 o'clock your time. Yeah.
All right, everybody, be safe and take care until next time. Bye.
Take care.